Clint.
Paulette.
John.
Hello.
Hi. John Allspaw, our co-conspirator, co-host for this episode.
I'm absolutely honored.
Happy almost 2026, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you're as excited to get the fuck out of this year as I am. John,
Yes.
how have your holidays been?
Holidays have been great. I have a particular challenge every year in that my wife's birthday is on December 30th. And so so right now is towards the end of what I like to call the maybe like little bit of it's not really like a do-over, but like if I didn't really nail a present during Christmas, then like I've got a second shot in the birthday situation.
That's good that you view it that way instead of like, oh, I just gave you a present for Christmas. Like you don't need anything for your birthday, which I feel like is the long-standing suffering of anybody born within like 10 days of Christmas.
Yeah. Colette, you've met my wife. I don't think that's a thing.
No. She's way too badass to tolerate something like that.
It is.
I'm just saying it doesn't mean that someone wouldn't try it though.
I'm sure.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad your head won't be on a platter this year, John.
Oh no.
Clint, how are you? You're not up at the cabin right now.
No. Things are weird in Big Bear this year, and in the southwest of the United States.
Was there like an avalanche or something?
No, that was in Mammoth.
Okay.
And that's terrible.
It's awful.
We should actually talk about it because a ski patroller died.
Yeah.
A couple of days ago. It was a major tragedy, and it's actually the second time this has happened there was one at the end of last season, and there was one here, and it's the same situation. Big storm, lots of new snow on top of icy snow, like very, very high avalanche danger. And as I understand it, Mammoth hasn't had any ski patrollers die for a long time. It's a very dangerous job. It's a very, very dangerous job. And now they have two in, just these subsequent storms. So this seems like a pattern is forming. I'd love to talk to some people about it. It just feels like there's a safety problem now that they've created. But Mammoth is basically the only place in the West that has snow right now. Mm-hmm. Big Bear barely has any. Finally got 6 inches over Christmas Day. But yeah, we're kind of hanging low. We kind of avoid it on Christmas Day because it's and in between Christmas and New Year's because it's insane up there.
Yeah.
On the holidays. But no, I'm
amateur
home. I got my
hour.
Skis here. I brought my skis back down because I was thinking about going to a different resort, but just gonna wait this one out. Yeah.
Cool. Well,
skiing isn't really till February anyway. That's when it really goes.
How's the skiing in Michigan?
I'm in New Hampshire right now. My in-laws. We drove from Michigan to Syracuse, New York, a couple days ago in like the big ice storm that came through. We drove right through it, and our truck still has like the front grill. I want you to picture this, which is like we're on hour 10 of our drive, and I keep looking at the radar, and the radar keeps telling me any minute now we're going to be into the snow instead of the ice. Any minute. And like, we're just still in the ice after like an hour of driving through sheer ice, just like sleet everywhere. I'm shocked they didn't shut down the freeway, and probably we should have gotten off, but like there wasn't really anybody on the roads very much. And like, but I just remember I had this moment of like looking to our right, and we were passing another pickup truck. So we have a Ford Maverick hybrid pickup truck, which is my husband is in love with. Every time he sees another Maverick on the road, he's like, yeah, you made the right decision too. Anyways, so we're passing this like much larger truck that is struggling. in the right lane. And I just remember like looking over, and do you know how like you look at someone and you're like, oh wow, you're like super fucked up, and then you're like, oh, I must be this fucked up too. Like you have this moment. So the whole truck next to us, I mean, it looked like it was encased in like 2 inches of ice. And you know how you have they have like the antenna on top, like the little antenna thing coming out. So that antenna it looked like it was in like a Dr. Seuss film. It had like 3 inches of ice at the front of it. And then there was like this ice coming off, like building up off the back, like in like a weird curve. And I just remember looking at the truck and looking at the guy driving it and being like, huh, well, we probably look like that too, huh? And sure enough, like we pulled over when we got into the snow part. We pulled over. And I looked at her truck and I was like, and Eric had been like, I don't know why we're not getting very good gas mileage. Like, no, like literally there was 3 inches of ice encasing the entire front of her car. So yeah, so we're at my in-laws and we're never going to drive again. And yeah, it's beautiful. It's snowy.
Yeah. Clint, don't be too
I'm very
envious. Don't be, because there's nothing like there's skiing in the White Mountains, and then there's falling off of Cannon Mountain and on a sheet of ice, and so that's what that is. I don't know if you've heard of ice, Clint. You're a Western boy, so
sometimes it gets cold enough that it gets a little icy for the first hour, until the sun comes out, which is 90% of the
until
days
the sun comes out.
It's skiing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now picture a hockey rink, but pretending it's a mountain.
Oh, ice like that.
Yeah.
Like tilted down and everything.
Yeah.
I can tell the East Coasters and some of the folks from like Eastern Europe have similar experiences, because that icy sheet that I'm side slipping down like this, they're just carving down it like it's nothing. Just like, whatever, you losers. Like this is real skiing.
Yeah, I don't know about any of that. That's just not a competition I intend on winning or playing. Yeah.
So we're at the end of the 2025, and Clint and I thought, who better to review the year in resilience than John Allspaw. Thanks for joining us to do that. I will fully admit, I think I had like an idea when this was mentioned to me like a week ago that I would like make a PowerPoint, and boy, did that not happen. But I thought it would be kind of cool. So maybe I'll make it in retrospect, like after we kind of talk through the year in resilience. Maybe I'll make a PowerPoint to go with this episode. Mm-hmm. Yeah, or maybe I'll ask ChatGPT to do it for me.
It would be apropos.
The podcast has been around a little bit longer than a year. But I'm like, we kind of started the year. What happened in January? God, I can't even remember. This feels like it's been the longest year of all time. All I can remember, I feel like my memory is as long as the last AWS outage, which means that it only goes back to
that tracks.
Right, back to there and then stops.
What comes to mind when you think about resilience this year?
Something that immediately occurred to me was the Palisades fire here in LA. Actually, was January 7th of this year. So we, that kind of, I remember us kind of talking about it a little bit in the first couple of episodes after it. We recorded a couple of days after, I think. And I think I might have even had to leave. I had to leave home for a couple of days.
Yeah.
And we got a front row seat through the year here in LA. And I don't know how much this made national news of blame just wrecking any understanding of what actually happened there. Like watching the city government just put the like, oh yeah, it's the fire chief. We're just going to blame the fire chief and fire that person, and now it's solved, which no one now believes it's solved, and they're worried it's going to happen again, only worse and in a different place that hasn't burned yet, right? Like it's just, but yeah, Palisades and Altadena, I mean, one of the worst events in Southern California history, even though there have been many fires. This one, has kind of, I've been just watching it the year thinking like, how do you stop blame when, it's visible to a 10 million person metro area? It's tough.
So did they do an investigation of it that was like an independent?
Several. And that's part of the problem is I know the fire department they do one for every event, right? And it extended and it went a long time and people were getting impatient. So then there were some journalists who did their own. The city had a commission, the city council had one that disagreed with the fire department. It's a mess. It's a real mess. And nobody, I think, even really, this is what I could bring it back to our world. Nobody really knows what happened. It was such a chaotic event. Like these were
they arrested
crazy
someone, right?
They did arrest somebody, and I haven't heard where that's gone yet, but it sounds like so there was like a fire started on New Year's Day
with fireworks,
this
right?
is for Palisades.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I haven't I've actually kind of let go of it a little bit recently, but I did hear they arrested this person. He started this fire and it was knocked down, but it was left smoldering, and then these crazy winds kicked it back up, and that's essentially the genesis of the Palisades part.
Which I guess is also what happened in Maui, that there was a fire, it was dealt with, and it kind of continued to live underground for a period of time and then kicked back up.
With high winds.
Terrible.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Altadena, though, actually was just the same old story. Down power lines that weren't deactivated before the wind event. Thanks.
Which
SoCal Edison again.
Well, I was going to say PG&E like already basically went bankrupt, like dealing with the Paradise Fire, right? So, yeah. So,
these patterns, right? They keep happening.
Yeah.
Do they? Do they?
I know. Do they? Right. But that's the thing. I also think about this. Like most of what I know is from journalism, and which I respect very much. And I know they're doing their best, but they're also trying to sell subscriptions and things. I don't know what happened.
Well, that's not a new thing.
Yeah.
Right. Like, yeah. I have a different view, I think, retrospectively about the year. Some things remain the same. And some things I think I've been thinking, I've got maybe 4 buckets in my head. The first is that there are a lot of incidents and a lot of accidents, a lot of things that did not happen. And we won't take notice of those. That's great, right? How many fires should there have been? Out of how many possible fires were there? So out of how many possible incidents, right? These are rhetorical questions because you can't answer them, but that doesn't mean that it's sort of not real. So I think, resilience, I believe, continues to be the same as it was in 2024 and probably since the beginning of whatever this is. And that is that it continues to be invisible. We do things to adapt and so I've been thinking about that in lieu of this, in light of the incidents that happened the US East 1 had their issue end of October.
Yeah.
Like
Cloudflare a couple times.
There was Azure, and then there was Cloudflare. And so has Cloudflare ever gone down before 2025? Has it? Yes.
Yes.
Has AWS gone down?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Has Azure gone down?
Mm-hmm.
Oracle, so all three of them have gone down. But for some reason, the fact that they're so located in time together, just brings so different attention, right? And then you'll see lots of, is this a sign of something, or is this, and
Things are
you can
falling
make it
apart.
well,
Things
or
are always
or
falling apart.
things are
Right?
falling apart. Yeah, exactly. And so I've been thinking about that in that uh, it doesn't matter. Like if you have an idea that you would like to get across, you can make the fact that these three incredibly large, incredibly successful, and I think, basically unstoppable. Let's use that word. Organizations, um, super complex. Right, I covered that in being successful, and if you put them together, like they're having an incident. If I wanted to say, see, this AI thing's not going to work. All of them got AI, but they still had an incident. So if I want to make a pro, sort of a surface level pro case for AI, see, told you. If I wanted to make or anti AI, if I wanted to make a pro AI, I could say, yeah, well, I could go with, um, can't make an omelet without cracking a couple of eggs, or I could go with you should imagine what it was like, what it would have been if they didn't have AI. Of course, none of this
But
is we're blind to what's going on in the
I
past.
mean, Corey Quinn did have a hot take
That
after
is
the
shocking.
AWS outage. Well, I was a little shocked because I feel like Corey tends to take swipes more at like the product itself.
Mm-hmm.
And in this one, he really dug into AWS has lost a lot of like their more
Mm-hmm.
senior talent in the last couple years, and they RTO'd to get people to leave. They've laid people off. They've also just had people leave out of, tenure, retirement, all of those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think he asked a question about like, is that a contributing factor? I don't think he would ever use root cause as the
Sure, but it's a rhetorical question because he can't get an answer.
No, you can't.
And so it's a fine inference to make, but here's the thing that is the number 3 thing that sticks out in my mind about this year is that, let's say that was the case, right? Let's say that it turns out that Corey's right, and then that retention is an issue, right? Well, that would be great, because then it would be a demonstration that when things are going well, you have expertise inside the building, metaphorically or virtually, right? What you must be are you doing something to sort of support that? Not keeping people from leaving,
Right.
but that's the kind of like, sure, that's fine. But like the deeper thing is that people are doing stuff that they themselves might not, especially people who have been around for a long time. They've got all kinds of understanding about how weird esoteric things work. And this expertise is literally the thing that has made the company successful. Nothing comes close. Nothing at all comes. The law of physics doesn't even come close. Laws of physics come close to expertise being certainly a critical, significant part. So that's good. That's good all around. I would love to, I don't want to be jaded and think that, well, even the conversation that Corey started will generate good discussion amongst the industry. I want to hope that would be the case. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not going to hold my breath, but I'm not going to be, jaded about it. I don't think. Anyway, so I guess that's all was wrapped up into we need expertise, and in this year, whether it's incidents, whether it's the promise of AI to do away with so many questions, mostly by people who aren't hands-on. I think mostly in the press, like, do you have to? Why do you need engineers anyway? Because the magical beans will do it. You've got magic beans called artificial intelligence. We'll just do it. When is it going to happen? Any second, any day now. Yeah. And so that's the irony that I would put in my head, put in everybody else's heads. This is the thing that keeps going on and on about AI and 2025 in general.
The irony of automating intelligence.
And the irony about irony's all around. Irony's all the way down.
No, that we actually talked about it. I looked back at all the list of episodes, and our second one of the year was actually, we talked with Courtney Nash about AI and resilience. And it was kind of, I think about how I view it now versus where we were at then. And what you're talking about, John, like we've seen that continue to be, I called it pressure, and I still feel it. There's this pressure to make it become magic beans, right? Like there's this real need, like from the bubble, but also from our own leaders, like this is going to be the thing. Finally, we're not going to have to do the hard stuff, which is invest in people, get them to stay around long enough to make a difference, right? Yeah. Transfer knowledge between them. Those hard things that good organizations do inevitably to become successful. They're like, maybe they can just train an AI and then we won't have to do this over and over and over again, which is ridiculous. And we're seeing it where the AIs, sure, they make people more effective, but sometimes more effective is less safe. like now I can make more code. Well, code isn't the thing that makes us successful, actually. Mm-hmm. Like that's the irony that keeps coming up, is like, yes, you get more of something, but something isn't always good.
Yeah. I would say that to take a dyed in the wool, so to speak, resilience engineering take would be that I guess it's not a surprise that things are working actually, yes, as well as they are, because they are working really well, despite the fact that there are these high profile outages. But I think people do. I think organizations do invest. They just don't recognize that they invest in people. They just don't see it. They see it now, I mean, all kinds of different ways. I think some organizations, when the belt needs to get tightened, they think, oh, well, then, I don't know, maybe we should do this. I don't know, this pair programming thing is probably a fad. But, where we pay two people to do the work of one person, says the person who's not a programmer, we should maybe not. So certainly there's things that can erode. But that's without even but things even then we're so good at adapting and so good at almost, yes, we'll say we're not going to be doing these things. What's the evidence that we have that we're not investing in those things? Oh, you could say, well, incidents. Yeah. Well, because if you were, then what? Then you'd have no incidents. Then you'd have less incidents. And so you can't support that. So what I'm saying is that imagine this is us, the industry, being oblivious about what good we are doing. And it'll erode in all kinds of different ways. But imagine if you knew what the value of this work was. Imagine if you were understanding that all the stuff that you can't economically justify ahead of time is the reason why you are going as well as you are. So that's I don't know. I will have to say I spoke was a couple of times I've talked with Lauren Hochstein, and I think he agrees that if there's one great thing about this explosion of AI, just interest, forget about the technology, is that it gets people to use words like cognitive work.
Hmm.
Oh, hold on a second. It gives some vocabulary to organizations that aren't, otherwise wouldn't be, interested in that sort of thing. What is thinking? What is reasoning? Hold on. I'll take this. It's not so bad. It could be worse. So
2025. It could be worse. There's our tagline. I feel like that's kind of a dare to 2026 that I don't want to make, John.
It's okay. 2025 made that dare already. Like,
know.
you didn't have to.
I think, like, I don't know. Maybe it's because I quit my job in the middle of this year, and I feel like the longer I'm away from like a tech job, the more I'm like, wow, you people are nuts. But I just, it's like, do you think, John, that like the people in decision-making power, because I think like what you're talking about is revolutionary I mean, it's more revolutionary than like we used to have this belief in purported belief in like the value of leadership and management in tech companies that like was very nice when interest rates were 0% and we could hire people and not worry about all the money we were spending. And then things have kind of swung into a different space where it's like, no, you're going to manage 18 people and you're not going to complain about it. And like, you know, what does it matter anyways? Like, you need to code too, right? Like, management isn't valuable enough for you to spend more than 50% of your time on or whatever. And I like, so we've swung into this like space around like management and leadership, which I find really fascinating, not unexpected for me, at least. Like, it makes sense to me. But what you're talking about is like people in lots of positions of power making choices that seem antithetical, like seem fully not in line with the values and approach that we've seen in the last 2 years from companies in general. I've never seen somebody in a senior leadership position. I say this as a director of engineering, former director of engineering, to a recovering CTO.
Yes. Thank you.
I've never seen someone in a leadership position like lean into this kind of discovery work around resilience. I've never seen it like somebody get really curious and be like,
you mean discovery work, meaning, I think I know what you mean, but just
meaning like, I want to uncover what it is that's keeping my ship going every.
Oh yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I want to become more aware of that. I want to have that. And it's like, I suppose like this is the core of maybe the back and forth that Clint and I have had all year in the background of all of our episodes, which is like guerrilla tactics. Like how do you sneak this stuff in? Or do you have to just like have like, what is the answer? How do we bring this stuff in a way that is really effective for everybody, for the folks in those positions who have real needs, and for people on the ground who are trying to just be resilient without burning out?
The answer involves a recognition that, let's say, those looking to do something in an under the radar way, the guerrilla tactics, the tacticians, so to speak, also aren't aware of what's available to them because they're successful in so many different ways. Again, we've had conversations about this. Are there organizations that have, let's call them special interest groups? Others will call it communities of practice or guilds, or basically everybody who knows about Postgres or everybody who knows about Redis. In mid-sized, larger companies, they'll get together once a week, whatever. And what do they do? They talk about, oh, there's this weird thing. Did you notice this thing? There's this, I've got a question. Has anybody seen this? Blah, 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 blah. It's not just knowledge sharing. You can do that via email, right? It's the exchange and back and forth. How much does that cost and how much is it worth? I write some piece of code. I say, Colette, will you take a look at this? And Clint, will you take a look at this? And by the way, I've just interrupted both of you, which I don't know if you've read anything, but apparently interrupting software engineers is really expensive, so don't do that. But I've interrupted you to help me with the code review. And you look through it and it's like see some, some stylistic, choices, but Colette says, this looks fine. Looks totally fine.
LGTM, John.
LGTM. And what, and okay. And then Colette, of course, is, now what the hell was I doing before? And Clint comes and says, oh, John, it's fine. Looks good to me. Great. And I go and deploy it. And lo and behold, everything is fine. Was it worth it? It wasn't just me and I wrote some code. I just interrupted. There were 3 people involved in this activity. And by the way, what was I doing? Well, I was waiting for you all. Now, how much did that cost? Also, what value did it have? We don't have answers to any of these questions. And yet, I don't know any organization whose leaders would say, this code review thing we're not doing this anymore. What a huge waste of time. Everybody, I've been looking at it. Everybody says pretty much, with a couple of exceptions here and there, yeah, it looks good to me. The fact of the matter is there's all kinds of ways that you get confidence in the code that you're about to deploy. But none of them can be justified economically ahead of time as being worth it. And it's a not insignificant amount of time and effort that people are, having an on-call rotation. Should you have one?
Seems like a good idea.
Especially some states, it costs more. And certainly in some jurisdictions, at least the United States, it costs more to have an on-call rotation, somebody being on call, and there's expectations around it. So we're doing all of these things. We cannot justify doing them ahead of time, and yet we're not going to not do them. We're always going to be doing them, and that's the reason why. And you're right, Colette, in that I don't know if, and I agree with you in that I don't know of anybody who is taking this. Oh, wait a minute, you know what? If our availability is 99.95, sure, we should look into that 0.05, absolutely. But you know what would also be cool? Figuring out how
we do it.
99.9 part. What is that? Because maybe
we just have that, John. We got it.
Away.
No, we got it. We still have it.
Solved. We don't even have to look.
It's a noun, right? It's a thing that you get. You just build it up, and then when you get to that 0.05 left, you just add some more nines.
Yeah.
Just
I
dial
read
it
something
up a little
recently.
more.
Sprinkle some nines on it.
Sprinkle some AI for my nines.
We can give Clint a photo of a beautiful cake. Or we could give Clint a recipe for that cake. The values are very different, but they're both about the cake, right? One is a snapshot, literally, of the cake. But that photo is not going to help you if you don't have a recipe. And in fact, you're better off having the recipe and not the photo. Even if you did have the recipe, there's something weird about that. I've got Julia Child's book, but for some reason, I've got all of her recipes. But my cooking doesn't taste like what I can imagine is Julia Child's. Weird, huh? So this is what I'm
Crazy.
like. I have to admit, as you both know, I'm very optimistic, generally speaking. So I don't have a really choice in the matter. That's just sort of my MO, to find something that's got benefit. But it's not a supportable assertion to say, because you have incidents here is all the things you're not doing well. It's also a not fair assertion to make that you don't have resilience because
Mhm.
you have incidents,
Yeah.
right? And I can make a pretty strong and defensible case that the reason why you're having incidents is because you are resilient, because that is what's made you successful, and success is what brings complexity and things hard to understand and out of
And
nowhere surprises.
brings a need to name it, right? And to focus on it, and to communicate about it. And one of the things I've been focusing on through this last year is trying to convince people that incidents are communication tools. They're not measurement tools, right? And this goes back to the
Mm-hmm.
MTTR thing, which we talked
Mm-hmm.
about enough previous in the year. But what you're talking about, like, why do we have incidents, can mean two or many things, right? But you may be asking, like, why are they happening? But you're also asking, why do we have a process called incident? And why do we declare things and say this moment right now is different than all the other moments? And part of the reason you do is because you want to keep all that successful good stuff going, and it doesn't seem like it is right now.
Because you don't, and what a weird thing. There's all of this successful stuff. What is that again? You can't tell me. You can't. All I know is I don't want it to go away. What is it that you don't want to go away? Not having it, the
The things
time
that
when we
make the
not
money
have it,
come.
the non-incident
Yeah.
time. Okay, so what's that made of? I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you. I understand. It's it is a revolutionary perspective, Colette. Um, and I was looking through a transcript of an episode that you all did earlier in this year. Oh, it was Colette. It was you. You said, "Isn't it interesting that nobody asks for an ROI on something about things being spent on reliability?" Right? Oh, you should have some monitoring and observability. I don't know. How much does it cost? I don't know. Those graphs and alerts. It's like, we're going to have to pay a lot of money. Is it worth it? I don't know. Nobody asks that question. Um, so, but look,
We did
generated
a whole
discussion
episode on
around
this,
new topics.
right?
We could make you could make a whole podcast. Wait, you have.
I can make a whole podcast about this.
What do you think, Colette?
I mean, I'm you're the optimist. I'm the pessimist. I, um, yes, there is an abundance of resilience at all of like the companies that we have named that have had large outages this year, like an abundance.
Mm-hmm.
I think in my head, right? Like I think about Rasmussen's
Mm-hmm.
triangle,
Mm-hmm.
like boundaries. And I
Mm-hmm.
think about like I think in the macro sense of our world, and like
Mm-hmm.
how when you're on the edge of like crossing into failure, or I think about going solid. Actually, this is a really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
My favorite paper of all time, and we had a question come in about it. And I think about like is there a going solid for like is there a story we can tell ourselves about what the tech industry would look like if it was going solid? Like, and is that like in telling a story about potential catastrophe, can we can we push in a story of, but these are the things that are helping us stay afloat, and like, is that helpful? I don't know. I have no
Yeah,
idea. Because
yeah, absolutely,
I'm a
absolutely
big
right.
believer in resilience engineering, but I'm also a catastrophic thinker. And so I'm trying to reconcile both of those things in my head of like, how do we tell a story about how when we see patterns that could very well lead to like big problems.
The patterns that we see, they absolutely could, if you could keep track of the ones that don't turn out to
That way.
be
Yeah.
bad. You said, I love that you just said, how can we tell a story about the patterns we're seeing? We probably first need to start by saying that the patterns we see are influenced by the stories we already have from elsewhere. And so, uh, and so if it makes sense. It makes sense to get rid of, normally things are going well. And from time to time, things don't go well. Let's get rid of that. It seems like that just sticks out like a red thumb, right? This is why Murphy's Law is so popular. But of course, now let's say we don't have, let's like we're saying, have any idea what happens when the non-incident time is happening. But we want to get rid of the bad. But yes, wait a minute. How are we doing it? Maybe we don't. For example, you see this showing up in an insistence about action items. Action items are an incredibly good idea. It's one of the reasons why things go as well as they are, and not just action items in the formal sense, but you have an experience. You try to work out to understand what just happened because you were surprised. Oh, it works like that. Okay, let's just call that, let's be broad in general, call that an action item. That's the reason why you've got so many 9s. Yes, you wish you had more. Fine. But you got a lot. And a way to figure out how, even just to be blunt and say, let's say I want to get rid of all of these bad incidents. Those are complete anomalies. It's nothing at all connected to real work. Of course, that's false. But let's just say we want to get rid of them. Let's say in the formal sense, we get action items. There's more attention on whether people did the action items than the content of those action items. It's really important to do the action items. Yeah, but what if they're terrible? Should you still do them? What if they introduce not only a pretty haphazard possibility of preventing the thing from recurring, but also makes it more likely for new things to happen? Lauren. Um, and so, uh, and so, yeah, just shifting it just a little bit. You don't have to like shift from, you must read all of these books about, blah, 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 blah. You could just say, are they any good? When Hammond and I gave that continuous deployment talk, we were saying there's something about that. There's somewhere in that talk, I can't remember whether it was me or Paul, but it doesn't matter whether you're deploying 10 times a day if you go down 10 times a day. If somebody says, oh, well, we deploy 30 times a day. Okay, great. Are they any good? Are those good deploys? I mean, sure, they don't break. Let's say they don't break. So great. Congratulations. Of course, Richard and Dave pointed out that the power, like the real thing, is right in front of our faces and not obvious at all, which is I could deploy. And I had built this capacity to deploy whenever it was necessary or deemed important to do so. Not about how many you could. That's just a demonstration. And so I like the idea of shifting just a little bit and saying, you want action items? I'm going to say that it's better to do action items that are good and quality and there's a good chance of it doing what it's supposed to do. But when you focus only on that, well, then all you do is your review cycle is looking for things that you can fix.
We talked a lot about action items at some point, right? And it just
We've
feels
talked
like,
about them
I
multiple
remember.
times.
Yeah.
but I think like what you're saying, John, like it's so, I appreciate your optimism. I feel like if Colette's the pessimist and you're the
Yeah.
optimist, I'm the pragmatist maybe. Like dealing with these things in real time a lot. And one of the things I feel like we've talked about this offline before, if you can just get people to let go of the action items for a minute, just like, yeah, like, oh, good idea. Put it up on the shelf. Right?
For 1 minute, and how? Yeah, I'm not sure
just
that
for
can be
an
done.
amount of time that allows their brain to relax, which is what I feel. I feel that people, they get to the judgment quickly, right? We get to the judgment,
Yeah.
and we're like, I
Yeah.
would have, they should have, we should.
Mhm.
They get all those words out, and it's like instant clinch of brain. Brain is now fixated. It's like that until we do that. This is none of this other talking you're doing is gonna matter. And putting it on the shelf and going like, if as a facilitator of many retros, it is a major like point of order for me to go, great idea. Oh, amazing. How do I get you to let go of that? Like,
Well,
not
you don't
because
have to.
it's
They
a
don't have
bad
to let go of
idea.
it. They just need to write it down and talk about
Yeah.
it in a different meeting.
And
Because you run the risk of fixing a thing that didn't break because
right.
you believe that you have, right? So
Because
yes,
your judgment
yes,
says it's probably that, and it definitely would be better without it. It's like that to me is one of the biggest, like, as through this year as it developed, I've noticed it more and more, me just being like, how do I get you off of these action items like as fast as I can?
let's talk more about that, because I think you can ask yourself a better question than that.
Yeah,
Colette, I
right,
wanted
I
to say
understand.
that when the three of us are talking, I don't think Dave Woods has a monopoly on going broad and wide and digressing in different ways. Yeah, he's not the only one who
He's
does
taught
that.
us well.
Yes, he has. We're gonna. So yeah. So I should say, in the new year, we have some plans. Our main plan is that we want to schedule a panel discussion with Dave about the Messy Nine, which I think
Yes.
would be really great to do. I already have some folks who are lined up who are interested in talking about their experience working with AI at work and with code. And if you work with AI to produce code at work and you're interested in being in a panel discussion, please reach out to us in our Google forum. We'd be happy to have you. We have a couple folks who've already signed up, but it'd be nice to get even a couple more to talk about their experiences writing code with AI, because I think this is going to be a thing that a lot of people want to hear about, and hear about other people's experiences and hear about how they relate to one another, and the kinds of barriers that people have and the kinds of breakthroughs that people have when they're doing this. So yeah, we are going to do that in the new year. We talked about the year in resilience. I think we did. Did we talk about the year in resilience?
We did, but we
certainly
missed one big thing that happened this year, which
Okay.
is that the Resilience and Software Foundation became a major thing in at least in our lives.
Yes.
I've definitely
Thanks, man.
Can't live without it.
Thanks for reminding me.
No, thank you, Colette.
Seriously.
Yeah,
I started a foundation.
You sure did.
It's at resilienceandsoftware.org, and we have enough members to keep us like sustaining ourselves. We have over 200 members now, and we all talk about stuff like this as well as like normal shit in our day to day. Like it's a Slack full of channels about many things. We contain multitudes, is what I'm saying, people. But if you want to join, you can come join us. It's really fun, and we do webinars. So we have like webinars like once a month ish, live events that we stream, and we're looking into trying to do a conference. And we've got lots of exciting stuff hopefully planned next year too. So yeah, we did that, and I my hope, right, is that we grow through the discussions we have, through the Slack, through this podcast, through whatever, that we start talking about this in very serious, like, and practical to the practitioner ways.
Yeah.
So that we can take something that is a science, it has laws, just like gravity. It has, safety as a science, and in particular, resilience engineering has a lot of really wonderful concepts that can be applied. But people, I think, feel really intimidated about how to do that and what the best ways to do that are. And so I'm hoping that we can help bridge that gap a little bit. Thanks for being with us, John.
Thanks for
hanging
having me.
out.
Thanks for having me. You've
Thanks
got
for
some sharp
And thanks for
editing
everything through the
probably to
year.
do here. What'd you say, Glenn?
I said thanks for everything through the year,
Yeah.
and through the podcast life, really. You're not on every episode, but you're in pretty much every episode.
Every episode.
I listened to every one.
John shared his Spotify Wrapped, and he was like our top fan on Spotify.
We didn't even
You're
record
the
a video
one.
for him.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the hosts, so that helps.
I also want to thank Clint for being an amazing co-host, and yeah, thanks, man. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you agreed to tolerate me chatting with you twice a month for the last 12 months, even when we are not working together anymore. So there you go.
It's two-way therapy. I really appreciate it. You're welcome. And thank you as well for doing basically everything and just setting up a time for me to talk into a microphone and have people, and think that maybe somebody will listen. So really enjoy the podcast. It's been a great year. I'm sure we'll have another great one.
Yeah. And thanks
to the listeners.
Yes. Thanks for everybody who's listening.
It's the time of year to do hugging of all of the people.
Yeah.
We're
sending everybody hugs. We hope you all have a wonderful new year, and we'll see you in 2026. Bye, everybody.